Have you ever felt like you're pouring all your energy into someone who barely notices? It's exhausting, right? You send the texts, make the plans, and keep the connection alive, yet the more you try, the more distant they seem. It's frustrating, but what if I told you that the solution isn't to try harder? In fact, it's the complete opposite. The most powerful move you can make in any relationship is to stop chasing altogether. Sounds counterintuitive. Stick with me, because this is where the magic begins. When you pull back, something fascinating happens. It's not about playing games, it's about reclaiming your power. By stepping away, you create space, and in that space, something transformative unfolds. He starts to notice. He starts to think about you. He starts to miss you. We've all been taught the wrong approach, that love requires endless effort, that if you just try harder, they'll finally see your worth. But here's the truth. Overgiving doesn't earn you love. It makes you invisible. When you stop chasing, you disrupt the dynamic and become unforgettable. This isn't manipulation. It's about showing your value through stoicism and self-respect. In this video, we'll dive into 9 powerful emotions he feels when you stop chasing him. Each one is like peeling back a layer, revealing the inner workings of his heart and mind. By the end, you'll understand why your absence is far more impactful than your presence, and how this shift not only changes how he sees you, but how you see yourself. Curious? Let's start uncovering the secrets. 1. The moment he realizes what he's lost. Imagine this. He's scrolling through his phone one evening, his feed filled with the usual noise. A meme here, a reel there. But then it hits him, there's no message from you. No little check-in, no witty remark, no picture to brighten his day. Just silence. At first, it's a faint curiosity. Maybe you're busy, he thinks. But as hours turn to days, curiosity transforms into a gnawing feeling in the pit of his stomach. Why haven't you reached out? Did something happen? Are you gone? This is the moment of realization, the one he never saw coming. Until now, your presence was constant, a comforting backdrop to his life. You were the one who always showed up. But now, that absence is deafening, and it forces him to confront something he never wanted to admit. He took you for granted. Think about how human nature works. We don't value what's always available. When something is constant, we stop noticing its significance. Like air, we only truly appreciate it when we're gasping for breath. Your silence is that gasp. It shakes him awake, makes him realize how much he relied on your presence, your attention, and your care. This moment isn't just about missing you. It's about regret. He replays the times you reached out, the moments you made him feel special. And now, in the stillness, he realizes what he's lost. A woman who gave so much, perhaps too much, without ever asking for anything in return. But here's the twist. This realization is as much about you as it is about him. You've stopped giving your energy away freely, and by doing so, you've shifted the balance of power. You've gone from being the chaser to the prize, and that shift, it's magnetic. He starts to notice the void you've left behind. His phone feels unusually quiet. He starts to wonder if someone else is getting the texts and smiles that used to be his. This isn't just fear, it's a wake-up call. He's forced to confront his own behavior and the fact that he let something incredible slip through his fingers. The beauty of this moment is that it happens naturally. You're not playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. You're simply stepping into your own power, embracing the stoicism of letting go and letting him feel the weight of your absence. And when that realization hits, it hits hard. Here's a question for you. What would it feel like to reclaim your energy and let him come to terms with what he's lost? To no longer be the one chasing, but the one who's chased. That's the promise of Love Stoic. 2. The power of silence. silence. It's such a simple concept, isn't it? Yet, in our hyper-connected world, silence is the ultimate disruptor. When was the last time you stopped checking in, texting first, or being available every time he needed you? Probably never, because society has taught us that love is about constant connection. But what if the opposite were true? What if your silence was more powerful than 1,000 words? Imagine this. Every day, you were the one lighting up his phone. The first good morning text, the last good night message, and everything in between. At first, he responded, maybe even enthusiastically. But over time, something shifted. His replies grew shorter, less thoughtful. You felt it, didn't you? That creeping sensation of being taken for granted. Here's the truth. Constant availability isn't valued. It's expected. When you're always there, your presence becomes background noise. But when you go silent, that's when the dynamic changes. Your silence creates a void, and that void is impossible to ignore. Let me ask you something. How does it feel when someone stops reaching out to you? Doesn't it make you wonder why? Don't you start replaying conversations, questioning what went wrong? The same thing happens to him when you pull back. Your silence isn't just noticeable, it's unsettling. At first, he might shrug it off. She's probably busy, he tells himself. But as the hours turn into days, your absence becomes louder and louder in his mind. He starts to wonder, why hasn't she texted? Is she okay? Is she moving on? That silence you've created isn't passive, it's active. It's working on his subconscious, making him think about you in ways he hasn't before. Here's the beauty of silence. It forces reflection. When you're always there, he doesn't have to think about you. You're a given. But when you step back, you become a question mark, and that question is irresistible. He'll start to notice the little things, how much he enjoyed your messages, how you made him feel, how you were always the one keeping the connection alive. And let me be clear, this isn't about manipulation. It's about respecting yourself enough to stop overextending. It's about embracing the quiet strength of stoicism and allowing him to see what life is like without you. Your silence isn't a punishment, it's a boundary. When he finally notices your absence, the impact is profound. It's not just about missing you, it's about realizing the space you occupied in his life. And that realization, it's a turning point. He starts to think about what he needs to do to get that presence back. He starts to miss you, not because you forced him to, but because he's finally seen your value. So, are you ready to embrace the power of silence? To stop filling in every gap, to let him sit with the emptiness, and to let your absence speak louder than your words ever could? If this resonates with you, let me know. Hit like and comment number 1 below if you're ready to stop chasing and start reclaiming your power. And don't forget to subscribe, there's so much more to uncover on this journey with Love Stoic. Your growth, your confidence, and your transformation start here. Let's dive deeper into the art of self-worth. 3. Why absence makes the heart grow fonder. You've heard the saying 1,000 times before. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. But have you ever stopped to think about why this rings so true, especially in relationships? What is it about stepping back, creating space, that makes someone's feelings for you intensify? Let's dive into the psychology of it. As human beings, we're creatures of habit. When someone is always there, messaging, calling, showing up, we start to integrate them into our routines. They become predictable, like the sun rising or your favorite playlist playing on shuffle. And predictability, while comforting, doesn't ignite desire. It doesn't make us crave. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine that person who was always there, suddenly isn't. It's disorienting, isn't it? Their absence disrupts your rhythm, forces you to stop and think about what's changed. That's when the magic happens. When you step back, you break the cycle of predictability, Suddenly he can't count on you to be there, and that disrupts his emotional equilibrium. It's in this disruption that he begins to see you differently. No longer the constant presence he took for granted, you become the intriguing mystery he can't ignore. Here's where it gets interesting. Your absence doesn't just create space in his life, it creates space in his mind. Think about the last time you couldn't figure someone out. Didn't it drive you a little wild? Didn't you find yourself thinking about them more and more, wondering what they were up to, why they weren't as responsive as you expected? That's exactly what happens to him when you step away. Your absence forces him to reflect on what he had, and more importantly, what he's missing. He starts to think about the way you made him feel, the laughter, the warmth, the spark. And because you're no longer there, those memories shine brighter than they ever did before. It's not manipulation, it's human nature. We crave what we don't have. Scarcity heightens desire. And when you pull back, you create that scarcity. You're no longer the wallpaper in his life. You're the masterpiece he suddenly realizes he's overlooked. But there's another layer to this. Absence doesn't just make him think about you. It makes him feel your value. When someone is always around, we stop appreciating the things they do. The small acts of care, the thoughtful messages, the way they brighten our day, it all blends into the background. But when those things are gone, they stand out in sharp relief. He starts to notice the silence, the way his phone isn't lighting up with your messages, the lack of plans you used to make for the two of you. And in that silence, he begins to feel the weight of your absence. He begins to see how much you contributed to his happiness, how much effort you put into the relationship. Here's a question for you. Have you ever stepped back from someone and watched as they slowly started to realize your worth? It's a bittersweet feeling, isn't it? But it's also empowering. It's proof that you were always enough. You just needed to create the space for them to see it. Absence also triggers something deeper. Longing. Longing isn't just about missing someone's presence. It's about missing the way they made you feel. When you step away, you create a gap, and in that gap, he begins to miss the emotions you brought into his life. The joy, the excitement, the connection. And this longing doesn't happen overnight. At first, he might not even notice you're gone. He might think you're just busy or distracted. But as days turn into weeks, that absence grows louder and louder. It becomes a constant hum in the background of his mind, a reminder of what he's lost. He starts to question himself. Why did he let you slip away? Why didn't he appreciate you when he had the chance? And those questions lead to action. He might reach out, try to reconnect, or even try to win you back. But here's the twist. This process isn't just about him. It's about you too. When you step back, you're not just creating space for him to miss you. You're creating space for yourself. Space to breathe, to rediscover your worth, to focus on your own growth. This is where the principles of Love Stoic come into play. Love Stoic teaches us that true power in relationships comes from knowing your value and refusing to settle for less. By stepping back, you're not playing hard to get. You're embracing stoicism. You're showing that your happiness doesn't depend on his attention, that you're strong enough to walk away when you're not being valued. And here's the beauty of it. This strength, this self-assuredness, is magnetic. The more you invest in yourself during this time, the more attractive you become, not just to him, but to everyone around you. So let me ask you, what would it feel like to be the one who's missed, the one who's longed for? What would it feel like to know that your absence speaks volumes, that it's a powerful reminder of your worth? This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power and letting your silence do the talking. It's about showing him, and yourself, that you don't need to chase to be valued. When you embrace the power of absence, you create something priceless, the opportunity for him to truly see you, to truly appreciate you. And in the process, you rediscover your own strength, your own value, your own worth. That's the essence of Love Stoic. It's not about forcing someone to miss you. It's about stepping into your own power and letting the world, and him, come to you. Are you ready to create that space? To let him feel the pull of your absence and to let yourself grow in the process? Because that's where the magic happens. 4. Why he suddenly starts reaching out. It's a familiar scenario, isn't it? You've stopped chasing. You've embraced the silence. And at first, it feels like nothing is happening. No texts, no calls, no reaction. But then, out of the blue, there it is. His name lights up your phone. Hey, everything okay? Haven't heard from you in a while. Why does this happen? Why, after your silence, does he suddenly feel the need to reach out? The answer lies in human nature. We crave what we think we're losing. When you were always the one to text first, to make plans, to check in, he never had to worry about your presence. You were a constant, reliable, always there. But now he's unsure. And that uncertainty is driving him to take action. Here's the fascinating part. He's not reaching out just to check on you. Sure, that's what his words might say, but deep down, his actions are motivated by something much more powerful: fear. Fear of losing you, fear that you've moved on, fear that someone else has taken the spot he thought was secure. Think about it. When you suddenly stop doing all the work, it forces him to confront the reality that he may no longer hold your attention. And that realization can be both unsettling and motivating. But let's get one thing clear. This isn't about manipulation. It's about balance. By stepping back, you're simply giving him the opportunity to meet you halfway. And when he starts reaching out, it's a sign that he's beginning to realize your worth. Here's where it gets interesting. The tone of his messages. They might start casual, even vague. Hey, how's it going? Or haven't seen you around lately. But behind those words is a deeper emotion, a need to reconnect. The longer you've been silent, the stronger that need becomes. This is why your silence is so powerful. It forces him to act. It shifts the dynamic. He's no longer the one being pursued, he's now the one pursuing. And in that pursuit, something transformative happens. He starts to think about you differently, not as someone who's always available, but as someone he might lose. This shift isn't just psychological, it's emotional. The more he thinks about you, the more he starts to remember the things he took for granted. The way you made him laugh, the way you listened, the way you showed up when he needed you. And suddenly, those memories feel more vivid, more meaningful, because they're no longer guaranteed. And here's the kicker. The longer you wait to respond, the more he'll think about you. That delay, that uncertainty, is incredibly powerful. It creates a sense of longing, a craving for your attention. But let me ask you something. When he reaches out, how will you respond? Will you rush to fill the silence, to reassure him that you're still there? Or will you let him sit with that uncertainty a little longer? Remember, this isn't about playing games, it's about teaching him to value your presence. When he starts to reach out, it's because he's feeling the weight of your absence. And that's a good thing. It means he's beginning to see your worth in a way he never did before. So, what should you do when that message finally comes through? Here's my advice. Take your time. Let him feel the anticipation. Don't rush to respond. When you do reply, keep it light, confident, and self-assured. Show him that while you appreciate his effort, you're not hanging on his every word. This is where the principles of Love Stoic come into play. By embodying Stoicism, you're showing that your happiness doesn't depend on his attention. You're independent, confident, and in control of your emotions. And that kind of energy, it's magnetic. When you stop chasing, you create space for him to step up. And when he does, it's because he's finally starting to see what you've known all along, that you're worth the effort. So, are you ready to embrace the power of silence and let him come to you? Because that's where the real magic happens. If this resonates with you, hit like and comment number 1 below to let me know you're reclaiming your power. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insights like this. Together, we're building a community of confident, self-assured women who know their worth. Let's keep growing and glowing. 5. The unexpected strength of letting go. Letting go, those 2 simple words carry a depth of meaning and power that many don't realize until they experience it. Walking away doesn't mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you're giving up on love or that you're weak. In fact, the very act of letting go is one of the most profound demonstrations of strength and self-respect. When you choose to step back, you're not closing the door on love, you're opening the door to yourself. You're declaring, I value myself enough to not settle for less than I deserve. And that message, it's powerful. It reverberates not just through your own life, but in the lives of those around you, especially his. Your decision to stop chasing communicates something that words never could: self-respect. When you let go, you're showing him that you're not afraid to put yourself first, that you're strong enough to walk away from a dynamic that's not balanced, that's draining you, or that doesn't uplift you. And here's the truth: that kind of confidence is magnetic. Think about it. How often are we taught to hold on no matter what? To fight for love even when it's one-sided, to keep chasing in the hope that one day they'll notice our worth. But let's flip the script for a moment. What if the greatest act of love isn't clinging to someone else but choosing yourself? When you let go, you take back control of your emotions and energy. You stop pouring your heart into someone who isn't reciprocating, and you redirect that energy inward. It's a shift that not only empowers you but changes the way he sees you. Let's get real. Chasing someone is exhausting. It leaves you feeling depleted, anxious, and constantly second-guessing your worth. Letting go, on the other hand, is liberating. It's a decision to prioritize your peace over your fear of losing them. And ironically, it's often in that moment of release that they start to notice what they're missing. When you stop chasing, you create space for him to reflect, to feel your absence, and to realize what he's taken for granted. But more importantly, you create space for yourself. You give yourself the opportunity to grow, to rediscover your passions, and to reconnect with the vibrant, powerful person you've always been. And here's where the unexpected strength lies. Letting go doesn't mean shutting yourself off from love. It means raising your standards. It means saying, I won't accept anything less than mutual respect, effort, and care. That level of self-assurance is rare, and it commands admiration. When he sees that you're no longer chasing, no longer clinging to a connection that isn't serving you, it forces him to reevaluate. He starts to wonder, why did she stop? Did I take her for granted? Have I lost her for good? These questions are powerful because they shift the dynamic. He's no longer the one being pursued. He's the one doing the pursuing. But let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation. It's about authenticity. Letting go isn't a tactic, it's a choice. A choice to value yourself, to prioritize your emotional well-being, and to step into the strength you may not have realized you had. This process isn't easy. It takes courage to walk away from someone you care about, especially when every part of you wants to hold on. But in that act of letting go, you're reclaiming your power. You're proving to yourself that you're capable of standing on your own, of finding happiness within yourself rather than relying on someone else to provide it. And here's the beautiful part. Letting go doesn't just change how he sees you, it changes how you see yourself. You start to recognize that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's attention. You realize that you don't need to fight for someone who isn't fighting for you. And that realization, it's transformative. Letting go allows you to step into a new chapter of your life, one where you're not settling, not chasing, but choosing to be with someone who values you, who meets you halfway, who sees your worth without you having to prove it. And even if that person isn't him, you've already won because you've chosen yourself. So, let me ask you, what would it feel like to stop chasing? To let go of the fear, the anxiety, and the uncertainty, and to step into your own power? What would it feel like to walk away, not out of anger or resentment, but out of love for yourself? That's the unexpected strength of letting go. It's not about losing, it's about gaining. Gaining clarity, confidence, and the ability to say, I deserve more. And when you embrace that strength, you don't just change the dynamic of your relationships, you change the dynamic of your life. 6. The magnetism of self-sufficiency. Imagine being so secure in yourself that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else. You're thriving, pursuing your goals, and living your best life, not because you're trying to prove a point, but because you genuinely enjoy the person you've become. That's the essence of self-sufficiency, and it's one of the most magnetic qualities you can have. When you show him that you're thriving independently, it sends a powerful message. It tells him, I don't need you to complete me, I'm already whole. That level of confidence is captivating. It challenges his assumptions, makes him question his place in your life, and, most importantly, reignites his interest. Here's the secret. Self-sufficiency isn't about pushing people away. It's about creating a fulfilling life for yourself that others naturally want to be a part of. When you're fully immersed in your own growth, passions, and success, you exude an energy that's hard to resist. It's the kind of energy that says, I'm thriving whether you're here or not. Why is this so powerful? Because people are drawn to strength. They're captivated by those who aren't reliant on others for validation or happiness. When you embody self-sufficiency, you flip the script. Instead of chasing, you attract. Instead of seeking, you choose. And that shift in dynamic is magnetic. Think about it. When someone sees you glowing, succeeding, and living a vibrant life, they can't help but wonder what makes you so confident. They start to feel the pull of your energy, the allure of your independence. Suddenly they're ones craving your attention, not because they think you need them, but because they want to be part of your world. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about genuinely investing in yourself. It's about focusing on the things that bring you joy, whether that's advancing in your career, pursuing a hobby, or strengthening your connections with friends and family. The more you pour into yourself, the more your confidence grows, and the more attractive you become. Self-sufficiency also creates intrigue. When you're not constantly available, when your life doesn't revolve around them, it sparks curiosity. What's she up to? Who's she spending time with? These questions linger in his mind, and before he knows it, he's thinking about you in ways he never did before. But let's be clear. Self-sufficiency isn't about playing games or pretending you don't care. It's about shifting the focus back to yourself. It's about showing that your happiness, your goals, and your well-being come first. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You become the kind of person who doesn't just attract love but commands respect. And here's the kicker. As you grow and thrive independently, he starts to see you differently. The dynamic changes. You're no longer the one chasing, you're the one being pursued. He sees your confidence, your success, your glow, and it pulls him toward you. Why? Because he realizes that you're a person of value, someone worth putting in the effort for. Let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped waiting for someone else to complete you and started completing yourself? What would it feel like to wake up every day knowing that your happiness isn't tied to anyone else, but comes entirely from within? That's the promise of self-sufficiency. It's not just about making him notice you. It's about falling in love with your own life. It's about becoming so secure in who you are that you don't need anyone else to define your worth. And ironically, that's when people are drawn to you the most. If this resonates with you, take a moment to let me know. Hit like and comment number 1 below if you're ready to embrace your power and start thriving independently. And don't forget to subscribe for more empowering insights and lessons on Love Stoic. Together, we're building a community of confident, self-assured individuals who know their worth. Let's keep growing, glowing, and thriving, because the best is yet to come. 7. How non-attachment makes you irresistible. Non-attachment, it's one of the most misunderstood concepts in relationships. People often assume it means shutting down, becoming distant, or acting like you don't care. But the truth is far more profound. Non-attachment isn't about being cold, it's about caring in a way that doesn't compromise your peace, self-worth, or happiness. Picture this: you're no longer glued to your phone, anxiously waiting for his text. You're no longer overanalyzing every interaction, seeking hidden meanings in his words or actions. Instead, you're fully present in your own life, focused on what makes you happy. That's the power of non-attachment. When you stop tying your happiness to his attention, something transformative happens. You reclaim your emotional independence. You stop seeking validation from him, and in doing so, you take back control of your feelings. This shift doesn't just make you feel stronger, it makes you undeniably magnetic. Why is this so powerful? Because people are naturally drawn to those who exude confidence and self-assuredness. When you're no longer chasing, clinging, or waiting for his approval, you stand out. Your independence becomes a statement. I value myself enough to not rely on anyone else for my happiness. This kind of emotional freedom is incredibly attractive. It sends a message that you're not afraid to walk away if your needs aren't being met. And that's not only compelling, it's empowering. Non-attachment says, I care about you, but I care about myself more. Let's dive deeper. Why does non-attachment make you so irresistible? It's because it creates a balance in the relationship. When you're attached, constantly needing validation or reassurance, you unintentionally tip the scales. Your energy becomes heavy, and that can push people away. But when you're emotionally independent, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer seeking, you're choosing. You're not waiting for him to validate your worth, you already know it. And that kind of confidence is irresistible. Think about the last time you met someone who radiated calm, secure energy. They weren't trying too hard or chasing after anyone. They were simply living their life, happy and content in their own skin. Didn't that kind of presence draw you in? That's what happens when you embrace non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop overgiving. It means you understand that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's actions or attention. You care deeply, but you're no longer afraid to let go when something doesn't align with your peace. This mindset not only makes you more confident, but it also creates an air of mystery. When you're not constantly seeking his approval or explaining your every move, it leaves room for curiosity. What's she thinking? What's she feeling? Why isn't she reacting the way she used to? These questions keep him engaged and intrigued. Here's the beauty of non-attachment. It frees you. It allows you to love openly without losing yourself in the process. It gives you the strength to walk away from situations that don't serve you and the clarity to see what truly does. When you embrace non-attachment, you show him that you're a person of depth and value, someone who doesn't need to be completed because you're already whole. That kind of energy doesn't just attract, it captivates. But non-attachment isn't something that happens overnight. It takes practice. Start by recognizing the moments when you're seeking validation and ask yourself, why am I giving this person so much power over my emotions? Then, shift that focus inward. Redirect your energy toward things that make you happy. Dive into your passions, strengthen your friendships, explore your goals. The more you pour into yourself, the less you'll feel the need to rely on anyone else for your sense of worth. As you do this, you'll notice something incredible. Not only will you feel more confident and self-assured, but he'll start to see you differently. Your independence, your calm energy, your self-assured presence, it's all deeply attractive. Let me ask you, what would it feel like to live without constantly seeking his attention? To know that your happiness and peace come entirely from within. That's the gift of non-attachment. When you master this mindset, you don't just transform your relationships, you transform yourself. You become someone who doesn't chase because you know you're worth being pursued. You become someone who doesn't settle because you know your value. And most importantly, you become someone who loves without fear, because you've learned to love yourself first. This is the essence of emotional freedom. It's not about withholding your love, it's about giving it in a way that doesn't cost you your peace. And when you can do that, you don't just become irresistible to him, you become unstoppable in your own life. 8. Rebuilding your self-worth through absence. Absence has a power all its own. When you step back, it's not just about creating space for someone else to miss you, it's about creating space for yourself to rediscover who you are. It's about pausing, reflecting, and asking, what do I truly need to feel fulfilled, confident, and alive? When you stop chasing, you allow yourself the time and energy to rebuild your confidence. It's an opportunity to shift the focus inward, away from the exhausting cycle of trying to prove your worth to someone else. And in that space, something incredible happens. You start to see your value, not through their eyes, but through your own. Think about it. When was the last time you truly prioritized yourself? When was the last time you explored your passions, focused on your personal growth, and gave yourself permission to glow without needing someone else to notice? This is your chance to do just that. By stepping back, you're not only showing them what they've lost, you're showing yourself what you've been missing. Maybe it's the thrill of pursuing a new hobby, or the quiet satisfaction of spending time on things that bring you joy. Perhaps it's the confidence you feel when you commit to a fitness goal, take on a new project, or deepen your friendships. Whatever it is, this process of focusing on yourself isn't just healing, it's transformative. Each step you take toward personal growth strengthens your sense of self-worth. You begin to realize that you were never lacking, never incomplete, never less than enough. And here's the beautiful irony. The more you focus on yourself, the more attractive you become, not just to others, but to yourself. You radiate a glow that can't be faked, a confidence that comes from knowing you're thriving because of your own efforts. This transformation doesn't go unnoticed. He'll start to see the change in you, the way you carry yourself, the energy you bring to the room, the undeniable glow up that makes you stand out. Your absence becomes more than just physical, it becomes a reminder of the powerful, vibrant person he's missing. But this isn't about making him notice you, it's about making yourself notice you. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing someone who's strong, confident, and deeply in love with their own life. When you embrace this mindset, you shift the entire dynamic. You stop seeking approval because you've already given it to yourself. This process of rebuilding your self-worth isn't always easy. At first, the silence might feel daunting. You might feel the urge to fill the gap, to reach out, to seek reassurance. Resist that temptation. Trust that this space is where the magic happens. Take small steps. Start journaling your thoughts, setting new goals, or reconnecting with old passions. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and environments that inspire you. Each choice you make to invest in yourself reinforces your worth and builds your confidence. The more you grow, the less you'll feel the need for external validation. You'll find that your happiness doesn't depend on whether or not someone notices your absence. It comes from knowing you're living your life to its fullest. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about him. It's about you creating a life so rich, so full of joy and purpose, that anyone lucky enough to be part of it feels grateful to be there. Your transformation isn't just external, it's deeply internal. So, let me ask you, what would it feel like to wake up every morning, not waiting for someone to notice you, but completely at peace with who you are. What would it feel like to know, without a doubt, that you're thriving not because of someone else, but because of your own choices? This is the power of rebuilding your self-worth through absence. It's not just a momentary pause, it's a reset, a chance to refocus on what truly matters. And in doing so, you become the version of yourself you've always dreamed of being. If this resonates with you, let me know. Hit like in comment number 1 if you're ready to step into your power and rebuild your confidence. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights on Love Stoic and the journey to self-worth. Together, we're creating a community of unstoppable, radiant individuals who know their value and refuse to settle for less. Let's keep glowing and growing. 9. Why he can't stop thinking about you. Have you ever noticed how the things we can't have linger in our minds the longest? It's human nature. The more uncertain we are about something, the more we obsess over it. And when you step back, when you go silent, you become that enigma, the question he can't stop trying to answer. At first, he might brush off your absence. Perhaps he thinks you're just busy or distracted. But as time passes, something starts to shift. Your silence, once a whisper, grows louder. He notices that his phone isn't lighting up with your messages, that your name isn't appearing in his notifications, and it nags at him. Why isn't she reaching out? Did I do something wrong? Is she moving on? These questions begin to swirl in his mind, creating a storm of curiosity and uncertainty. Your absence isn't just physical, it's psychological. Without realizing it, you've planted a seed of intrigue, and it's growing. Here's where it gets fascinating. Our brains are wired to fill gaps. When there's no information, we create our own narratives. That's exactly what happens when you pull away. In the silence you leave behind, his mind starts building stories. He remembers your conversations, replays moments you shared, and wonders what you're doing now. And because he doesn't know, his imagination takes over. Is she spending time with someone else? Is she happier without me? These thoughts aren't just passing curiosities. They're unsettling. They create a sense of urgency, a desire to reconnect and regain the comfort of your presence. But why does this happen? The answer lies in the psychology of scarcity. When something is always available, we take it for granted. It becomes part of the background, easy to overlook. But when that thing is gone, when it becomes scarce, it suddenly gains value. You were always there, always reachable, always ready to offer your time and energy. He knew he could count on you. But now that you've stepped back, that certainty is gone. And in its place is a question mark, a mystery he feels compelled to solve. This isn't about manipulation. It's about letting natural human dynamics play out. When you pull back, you're not punishing him. You're creating space. Space for him to reflect, to miss you, to realize what he had. And here's where it gets powerful. The more he thinks about you, the more your presence in his life starts to shine. He remembers the way you made him laugh, the comfort you brought, the moments when you were there without him even asking. Those memories aren't just nostalgic, they're magnetic. Think about it. When was the last time you missed someone who was always around? Probably never. But the moment they're gone, their absence becomes almost tangible. It's like a shadow that follows you, reminding you of what used to be. That's what happens to him when you step away. As the days go by, his thoughts become more focused. The silence isn't just noticeable, it's deafening. And in that silence, he starts to question himself. Did I take her for granted? Did I let something amazing slip away? Those questions aren't easy to shake. But here's the twist. By the time he realizes how much he's thinking about you, you've already reclaimed your power. You're no longer waiting for his attention, no longer wondering when he'll notice your worth. You've become the prize, the one he's now chasing. And let's not underestimate the impact of mystery. When someone can't predict your every move, when they don't know what you're thinking or feeling, it creates an allure that's impossible to resist. Your silence, your absence, has transformed you from someone he took for granted to someone he can't stop thinking about. But what happens next? That depends on him. If he truly values you, he'll reach out, try to bridge the gap, and put in the effort to win you back. But if he doesn't, then you've already won because you've chosen yourself. This is the essence of love stoic, understanding that your worth doesn't come from someone else's attention, but from your own self-assurance. When you step back, you're not just making him think about you, you're making space for yourself to grow, to thrive, to shine. And that's where the real power lies. Not in making him miss you, but in becoming someone so confident, so magnetic, that the thought of losing you is enough to keep him awake at night. Your silence isn't empty, it's a powerful statement. And in that silence, you're saying everything he needs to hear. 10. The moment he realizes what he's lost. There's always a moment, a gut-wrenching, heart-sinking realization that sneaks up on him. It doesn't happen right away, and it doesn't happen when you first pull back. At first, he might not even notice. Maybe he's enjoying the space, thinking you'll come back like you always have. But then, slowly, it starts to hit him. He's scrolling through his phone one day, looking for someone to talk to, someone who understands him in the way you did, but your name isn't there. He can't reach out the same way anymore because things have shifted. The routine he took for granted is gone, and in its place is an absence he can't ignore. Maybe it's a song that comes on the radio, one you used to listen to together. Maybe it's a place you both loved, or a memory that catches him off guard. Whatever it is, it stops him in his tracks, and suddenly he's overwhelmed with the realization of what he's lost. The texts you used to send, the warmth you brought into his life, the way you made everything feel just a little bit brighter, it all comes rushing back. He starts to see, with painful clarity, how much he took for granted, and that clarity stings. This isn't just about missing you, it's about regret. He starts replaying every moment, wondering why he didn't appreciate you more, why he didn't give back the energy you so freely gave. And as he sits with these thoughts, they become impossible to ignore. But here's the thing. This moment isn't about him. It's about you. By the time he realizes what he's lost, you've already grown. You've rebuilt your self-worth, embraced your independence, and stepped into the confident, magnetic person you were always meant to be. And that's the ultimate power move. You've gone from being someone who chased to being someone who's chased. The dynamic has shifted, and now he's the one longing for your attention, your presence, your love. But let's be honest, by the time he comes to this realization, you might not even want him back. Because in the space you created, you found something far more valuable yourself. You discovered that your happiness doesn't depend on his validation, that you're perfectly capable of thriving on your own. And that's the beauty of this journey. It's not just about making him miss you, it's about transforming how you see yourself. When you stop chasing, you're not just teaching him to value you, you're teaching yourself to value you. So what happens when he realizes what he's lost? That's up to you. Maybe you'll let him back in, but only if he's willing to match your energy, respect your boundaries, and give you the love you deserve. Or maybe you'll decide that his chapter in your life is over, and that's okay too. Because this process isn't about him, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your power, rewriting the narrative, and stepping into the strong, confident version of yourself that you've always had within you. Let me ask you this. What would it feel like to know, without a doubt, that you're the prize? To walk through life with the confidence that you don't have to chase anyone because you're worth being chased? If this journey resonates with you, take a moment to celebrate how far you've come. Hit like and comment number 1 if you're ready to step into your power and become the person they can't forget. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights on self-worth, confidence, and the art of love stoic. Together, we're building a community of people who know their value and live it every single day. Let's keep growing, glowing, and thriving, because the best is yet to come. At the heart of it all, stepping back isn't about manipulation, games, or trying to make someone miss you. It's about reclaiming your power and understanding that your worth has never been tied to someone else's attention. When you stop chasing, you give them the space to see your value, but more importantly, you create room for yourself to grow, to rediscover, and to thrive. Through silence, absence, self-sufficiency, and non-attachment, you've started a journey of transformation. You've shown yourself and them that you are more than enough, just as you are. The shifts you've created aren't just external. They're deeply internal. You've stepped into a version of yourself that radiates confidence, independence, and undeniable strength. So here's the question. What's next? Will you let them return if they've learned to value you the way you deserve? Or will you choose to keep growing, exploring the limitless possibilities of a life where you no longer settle for crumbs? The beauty is, the choice is yours, and the power is entirely in your hands. Thank you for joining this journey. If this message resonated with you, take action today. Hit like and comment number 1 if you're ready to embrace your worth. And don't forget to subscribe to stay connected with our community. Together, we'll continue to explore the art of self-worth, the power of love stoic, and the magic of living a life where you're always the prize. Remember, the greatest love story you'll ever write is the one you create with yourself. Until next time, keep glowing, keep thriving, and keep being the incredible person you are. See you in the next video.